Hey everybody, this is Danny with Insane in the Brine. Today we're talking about how to make classic sour garlic dill pickles. I usually make a half-gallon jar of pickles, which is like anywhere from 8 to 12 cucumbers, depending on their size and their variety. That's my spice blend that I usually use. It's got peppercorns, coriander, mustard seed, allspice, some cloves, and also some bay leaves, but I usually add those later on. You're welcome to crush them up at this stage along with the spices. But I usually add them whole later. That's up to you. And I'm using 4 cups of water and mixing that with 45 grams of salt. You won't need more water than that, really. If you pack the jar with the cucumbers and other ingredients, you've got your 4 cups of water. That's pretty much all you need. It might even be a little bit extra. The 45 grams of salt into that gives you about a 4.5% salinity, which I think is perfect. But, you know, if you don't have a gram scale and you do 2.5 tablespoons of the salt, that's going to be close enough. And don't let anyone tell you it's not exact enough. You'll be fine. I'm usually using Morton canning and pickling salt, but any additive-free salt is good. It just says salt. It doesn't have anything else. It doesn't have anti-caking agents or iodine or any of that. For the cucumbers, I keep them in an ice bath for several hours, and then here you can see I'm cutting off the blossom tip, which is not the stem side. It's the side that actually a flower is growing out of there when it's a young cucumber, and eventually it's going to fall off or dry up. But that side can have an enzyme which can soften up the pickle later down the road. So that's why some people remove it. I also give a lot of other steps for having a really crunchy, crispy cucumber in a separate video, so you can look for that. It's my top 10. I didn't mention in that video I never cut up my pickles, or if they're ferment pickles, I don't cut them up. I keep them whole, and that'll help keep them crunchy. And then I'm using, this is several cloves of garlic, but they're smaller. I grew those and they were kind of small this year, but my recipe calls for like 6 to 8 large cloves. So, but you can go even more than that. If you like a really strong garlic flavor, I mean, you can even use a whole large head of garlic and it's going to be delicious. But I don't use an exact amount each time. It's just kind of, ballpark. And I don't even bother taking the skin off anymore. Just kind of give them a whack and a couple cuts, and in they go. And the skin itself has a lot of the great bacteria that, either way we're going to be fine with the bacteria to have fermentation underway, but it does add flavor. It's just makes it easier and more interesting to leave it on. And then we put in our dill, and here you can see I've got some of the dill flowers that we're growing. It's a more mature stage of the dill, but you don't need to have that. And my bay leaves, of course, and that's a horseradish leaf. And I grow that as well. You don't have to have that, but I like using that as a cover. It also can help to keep the pickles crunchy because it's another source of tannins, like the bay leaves, and even the spices themselves, and the salt. And then, of course, keeping everything nice and cold will help you keep those nice, crispy, crunchy pickles that you're looking for. Just adding the water here. Don't need to go all the way to the top. We're going to be adding the glass weight, which will help keep everything submerged under the brine. Of course, you'll notice some of my spices are going to push up to the top. You can put the spices in at the very beginning to hopefully keep most of them underneath the brine, but I've never, in probably hundreds if not thousands of batches of pickles, I've never had any of them grow mold or go bad on me, so I don't worry about it too much. But there are other things you can buy, like the pickle pusher, which will eliminate them at the surface, but I've never had a problem with it myself. And there you have the completed jar. Some other jars I did this week, from newer to older. And this one here is about a week old. It's about ready to go in the fridge. And this is one that I've had for a week in the fridge. And I'm going to take that weight out. And you can pull out the dill. I'll pull out some of it here, or leave it in. But it kind of could just gets in the way. So move a bit of that out of the way. I got some carrots in there too. That was a fun batch, nice and crunchy carrots that I had growing. And got my new little pickle pincher there, pickle picker, and giving it a taste, and it is awesome, nice and crunchy. good. Spicy, fizzy, full of flavor. Amazing. Thank you.